Hello, Twitch. Okay, we are live. Are we live? We are live. Let's do this. So I'm gonna start walking through modding the zone. You may be wondering, what the heck is the zone? For those who don't know, the zone is a tabletop role-playing game of an annihilation and stalker style mutational horror, where you go on a doomed journey around a spiral of locations into the center. And every single player except one is fated to die at a given point along the journey, which is all um, done using a kind of tarot style location cards, multiple options, and scene cards, and these evocative, not so easy cards, which is how you resolve issues and replaces any kind of dice system. So, yeah, so this game came out of early access in summer, and there have been a few hundred expeditions, and what I've spent the last few months is making it so that you can mod it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through the mod kind of reference, just this whole thing, and then yeah, we're just I'm going to work on a little mod of my own that I'm starting to do as a demo. So let's begin. So the first place to start is just create a new game. What I'm going to do is I'll just run through exactly what you do, starting with what's in the documentation here. So um, in the guide, I've got an overview with everything you need here. So obviously there's the zone, the game itself, and then the base content, which is all in a spreadsheet. And the base content is almost all the content in the game. This is what you'll be changing to edit the content of your game. And one quick thing is that every time you do this, you will have to make a copy of this base content spreadsheet, and you'll want to keep this README section on. It's got the license information. It has links back to the original content. So if anyone runs into it, it's the easiest way to make sure that you're in keeping with the zone license. I want people to be able to remix as much as possible. And I also want people to be able to kind of trace it back to the source, which is the original game. So there's a lot you can do. You can change the whole experience of the game. You can do just tiny tweaks, like, hey, you just want to have a game that just has character scenes. It's more of like a grounded character study. You could just remove all the encounters with weird monsters, or vice versa. Or if there's a particular set of locations you like, maybe you just want those. Um, you can make tweaks to the game just for, like, what if just one of the locations is similar to something in your neighborhood that you just want to rename it and make it closer to that, or put a little detail that your players will appreciate. Or you can just like totally theme everything, right? Um, and what I'm hoping to experiment with and see what people experiment with too, it's like how you can string together different missions. So you can imagine, at the beginning of the zone, and I'll just do a quick demo here. It starts off with this briefing. So you got here is you've got the goal of the game, and then you got the briefing that sets up the mission. Like, you could change this if you're going to play multiple expeditions, um, and then this is the main thing that we'll be tweaking. The layout always stays the same, but you can change this kind of background image back here and the foreground and all the colors. And yeah, there's so much more. But actually, no, I can run through this. So yeah, let's look at this real quick. So here, I want to immediately show you just like how this works. So see how you've got the briefing here. There's a matching piece of content. here in the spreadsheet. Same with the welcome text here. If you're wondering what matches up to what, there's description here in this column, like right in the spreadsheet. I've tried to put some documentation that helps to link the two. And then I'm building out this documentation page that should help you to figure out where everything fits. Still a bit of a work in progress. But hopefully some of the basics are somewhat self-explanatory. So all this game content here, these are really like the main things. You've got the briefing, the campfire, and then the center. The campfire and the center are these very special locations. And let's jump around. I'll just show you them real quick. And I'm also going to show you how to jump around if it's useful. So if you open the debug menu here, you can jump from scene to scene in the whole game. And so for example, if I want to jump right to the first location, and I can do that. And when you jump locations, by the way, here, I'll put it in side by side so you can see. Whenever you jump to a different location, it'll reset the scene. And sometimes there won't be a director. So you just want to hit the reset turn button or do what I just did. So this is a really useful tool for navigating around and just seeing what the game looks like in different places. So this is what the campfire looks like. There's some instructions, folks are at the campfire. And this is what the center looks like. So in this case, I'm the only player, and my character, I didn't actually create this character because I skipped past that. Has got to arrive at the center, and this is where they get instructions on how to pass the zone for their deepest wish. And these are also customizable. You see here, you have the center one. Lone survivors made it legendary center of the zone, first to find the center together, and so on, is right here. And then this final question is fixed because the wish is a defined part of the zone. Where you go, prosperity and happiness for everyone. And then the zone decides your fate. If there were more than one player, the other players decide your fate. So you can see pretty much a review of the game. And the things you'll want to keep in mind when editing all this, the most important thing in the zone is this loop here. You've got a location, you arrive at a location, there's 3 different options. Someone picks an option, they get a scene prompt. This is the tutorial. You can't edit the tutorial yet. The tutorial has been very heavily play tested to give people as good a chance as possible of learning the rules. And so I don't recommend trying to change it anyway. I would say if you're trying to create a game that's hacking the rules in quite a different way, what you can do is you can actually just skip the tutorials. So there you go. Now the game's been reset, tutorials are off, and these tooltips aren't going to show up. And yeah, so that's this loop. And the final piece of it are the location cards and the scene cards. It's not so easy deck, which is when someone tries to do something hard, how we establish if they succeed or not, and then what happens. In this case, yeah, the zone mutates the person in a very small way. Success is immediate. Immediately triggers a much more serious challenge, and so on. And all of this is just in the spreadsheet. Here are all the not so easy cards. here's all the scene cards, a lot of them, and they're categorized. Right now, the category just changes this little text here. And then here are all the location cards. There's just under 30 of them, each with 3 alternatives. And then the final piece of it is the characters. I skipped through character creation at the beginning, but the cool thing about the character creation is that you have these archetypes that really do an enormous amount of world building. The zone is supposed to be as prep as possible, so I wanted to spread the load of the content to as many different touch points as possible. And every little piece actually does quite a lot of work. So even the fact that it's a soldier, a writer, a chaplain, a surgeon, a scientist, an entrepreneur, and a bureaucrat is very much in keeping with that like stalker or annihilation style vibe of a government-y expedition. Although, of course, you could just have 5 writers enter the zone together, and that's totally fine. Um, but each of them have a role in these values. Like this is really their kind of perspective on the world. They're things to come back to when you're wondering what to do with them. And a short, hopefully pretty atmospheric bio that helps you to understand how they got to the point where they felt like they had to do this crazy thing going into the zone, knowing that it's going to be a one-way trip. So here, for example, this writer, renowned talent, decades of award-winning work on the international stage, but success takes its toll. You haven't managed to write anything in over 15 years. You've tried everything. It's not working. And now even your fans are beginning to forget you. You cannot go out like this. And then the final piece is each character is only complete when they have an obsession defined. So here, there are these preset choices and a phobia, relevance. And these are important because the zone is a psychological horror game, and for it to decide what to tempt you with and try and horrify you with, it's best to give it some very concrete things. And then this is the one thing that there are no defined options for because I think it really helps players to get into the vibe of the game if they have to spend even just a few minutes embodying the character enough to answer a question. Like, what can you not go back to? Your type writer seems to age you. It's sentient. And all of these can be edited as well. So right here, that backstory that we just saw, it is right here. That main role tells the story of the zone, the values, the obsessions, the phobias, or the list. And you'll notice each of these on a new line. In Google Sheets, you do that by doing Command and Enter on a Mac. I think that'd be Control Enter on a PC. And that's actually pretty important. They each have to be on a new line, otherwise it'll break everything. There's not a lot of places you have to really worry about that kind of technical thing, but if you see this at the top of the column, then you really have to make sure that the content is formatted the right way. And again, all of this is explained in the documentation. So that's kind of the shape of things. You can change pretty much everything about the game just by changing the spreadsheet. So how do you do that? So let's do that. And I'm just going to show you these instructions here so we can follow them together. So the zone-based content spreadsheet is linked here. You can also follow along just in the quick start. So but let's just close everything. Let's just pretend everything's just not on the screen. So you're really just starting the same place you would with nothing. So open the base content spreadsheet and make a copy. Twitch stream mod. Okay. So now we have a copy. Great. I'll just put this here. We can always come back to it if we need a reference, but for now, we're going to be in the copy. That's what we just did. So now we share. And this is important because spreadsheets are private by default. And so if you don't share it, then the game will not be able to see it. So we hit share and we click change anyone with a link. We copy the link, hit done. And then let's just make a few changes so that we can see that it's succeeded. So Twitch zone. Twitch zone. This is a zone set the unyielding world of a Twitch stream. Who will survive? There we go. And yeah, that's where let's just go all the way the Twitch. And then yeah, if I was being responsible, I would follow exactly the instructions in my own tutorial, but y'all get the idea. And then you see you've got here these theme colors. I just created some alternatives just so that you'd be able to quickly make a change. Just paste them. And like a nerd, I'm just going to go paste values only so it doesn't screw up all the formatting. And yeah, that's all you need to do to get started. So load your mod. How do you do that? Well, let's copy the link again. Remember how you do that. So now we're back in the zone that I created. Click load a mod. I enter the link to the spreadsheet. I click load mod. Wait a few seconds. And there you go. Everything has changed. You notice there's these little previews of different parts of the game here that show you the styling that just got applied. So in this one, because I wanted this example to be a little icy kind of themed, you've got these blue and bluish cold colors. By the way, shout out to my friend Nick Punt for helping me to set this up as we were playtesting together. Um, and you can check that all we didn't change any of the content, but if we had, we'd be able to check it here, see what got loaded in. Yep. And yeah, and same as before. You'll notice we go and we reload this. So now I'm in it. I can click through it, same way I did before, or I can navigate through it using this drop down. There we go. So I'm in the game. And yeah, so that's kind of how you get started. So there's so much that you can do. So let's add a couple more details. So one thing that I did before we started is I put together um, a background, a different frame than this one, because now these weird plants and fungi don't really feel like they fit in this world. So I put together this thing of rocks. I used an image from I think it was a free image from. Give you the right. right credit. Which one was it? From one of the free stock photo sites, whose name I've now forgotten. There we go, Unsplash. Yeah, so I tracked this image down. I took it into Photoshop. I cut out this area here. Um, I had a screenshot of the game as my reference, which you should totally use to make sure that you've got stuff in the right place. And yeah, so it's just to make sure that this frames things roughly correctly. I'll put out some assets you can use for this, actually, but for now, a screenshot is more than enough. I also grabbed a nice background from Unsplash as well, and then I uploaded them to ImageBox, which is just a free um, a free service you can use. We'll just all of that. Bit slow, but just useful for testing. And so then what I can do with this is I can just get a link to the image and copy it to the spreadsheet as, which one did I copy? Here we go. Copy image address as my background image. Oop. I'll take this one. I'll do the same thing. Let's make sure it's the right link. Yep. It's my foreground image. There's actually 3 layers going on here. It's a little bit a little bit fancy. But so it can do that nice animation with them coming like sliding in Hollow Knight style. There's actually 3 layers of foreground. You can edit all of them. In this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say none for the others because that is unnecessary level of effort. We now made these changes as well. And I'm just going to hit load mod again. It'll reset everything again after a few seconds. And now if I go back to that same spot, and it will not work. I think I have to reload the whole page. Oh, okay. Whatever I did. Oh, no. This is exactly what I thought would happen if I kept the base content open. It helps if you actually put it in the right place. Yeah, let me base content out of the way and then reload it. That was entirely predictable. Great, we can see our new images are loading in. ImageBox is a little bit slow. You probably want to use a slightly faster hosting service if you are doing this for real. There we go. So now we've got this icy cold, rocky inlet on ice kind of vibe. Now, you're probably wondering, well, okay, we skipped past a lot of this coloring. How can I play with that? Well, if you open the inspector, I did that really fast. We'll do that again a little bit more slowly. So we go to View, Developer, then Inspect Elements. You may need to turn on the developer tools if you're not already turned on, which I can't remember how to do. Then, yeah, so if you scroll down, you will notice this. So see where it says theme, and you've got the same values that you've got here. All the theming of the game is built off of this. All of them except these last 2, which affect the color of the cursor and the color of these kind of glowy things. So normally it's a green cursor and it's these orangey yellow glowy things. Those won't change live when I change things here, but the others will. So yeah, let's have a play around. So primary is the kind of the accent color. So it's kind of this. Um, you'll see it, I mean, all over the place. Uh, right. So for example, if I change that, there you go. I notice this is supposed to be the brightest, and really it's kind of the brand color of your game. So it shows up real big here when you're in the opening of the game, but then it shows up every single time that the game's accent color is invoked. So for example, here it's using it to highlight important text, things that you should pay attention to. See right here. You'll also see it, and I'll just skip around. There's a few places where you'll see it as a full screen thing. For example, in the character select, it's the big, big, big kind of accent for the back. Um, you'll also notice that there is a second accent. Um, this primary is supposed to look really good on a light or like a dark background. So you'll notice on some of the previous pages is getting a little bit lost if I made it too dark, a dark background. The primary dark is supposed to look really good on a light background. So you want to make sure that there's enough contrast between the text and the background. And then the dark is the color of the text, of the buttons in a lot of places. You really want to keep it pretty dark and contrasty so that people can see it. And then the light is that white. So again, you want to keep it pretty nice and light and contrasty so that people are able to read your game. There's a couple of other colors that I have in here. During this rules explanation, and you'll see this show up in a few other places. Also, you'll see it here, for example, when it's explaining the different moves that you're going to learn. Here, there's this schematic color, which is kind of like that's like kind of a secondary kind of accent to the game, just add a little bit of variety. There's this color that's used when you die. And it's also used for kind of danger. Don't click this. So you have to keep it reddish. And then the zone color is later in the game when you die, the whole screen is tinted um, this color. I can show you. I'll just add another color, another player, and then we'll jump right to where that player dies. Sorry, Nick. Or sorry, me, I should say. I am the sacrifice. There you go. Let's die. Coming scene. See that red tint? Kind of weird to change it to something not reddish. But I want to give you all the power. In the scene, my character will die. End the scene. And now back to that schematic. That's rules explaining. And after death, the whole screen now takes on this kind of deathly cast and desaturates. So yeah, use it as you please. Let's release the game. Back to the beginning. What else? Oh yeah, the last one is probably the card tint. The card tint is just like a. It is really intended. In the future, I want to give you the ability to change the card backs, but in the meantime, I just wanted to give a really easy way to make the cards match the background a little bit better. Contrast with it, whatever you feel like doing. So yeah, I mean, with this, you can change the way a game looks in a very fundamental level. Let's make a couple more changes, and yeah, we'll probably call it the day after that. So if I'm doing a kind of thing style thing, maybe I want to keep all of these not so easy, it's roughly the same. But maybe I want to add like a couple more, right? So I want to add something like the zone mutates you to resemble one of your companions. Zone mutates you in a way you must absolutely keep secret. The zone mutates someone else, but your character doesn't know, and so on. And as you're going through it, I mean, I would suggest just having a nice variety of yes ands and no buts and so on. Um, and because we want to be brutal, hey, maybe let's just remove all of the not so easy cards that will not cause a mutation. So now you mutate every single time. Now we've got the scenes. Probably here you want to add some scenes about. So here we've got some nice things. Someone tries to hide a physical mutation that threatens everyone. I'd add more along those lines. Someone tries to unmask another character, whether mutated or not. And then these questions are supposed to be a way to help the player who's directing the scene. You don't have to include them, but they're just kind of focusing questions. So if we scene that you add, you might want to add a little extra prompt. So why are you suspicious? And then locations. My guess is this will be the first thing that people want to tweak. So one little bonus I added here is if you want to just not screw around with these tabs, but you still want to change some of the locations, you can just specify them differently here. So if you do this, for example, this, you don't have to specify the rest of them, but if you just have random, 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 and then, the office or something, then that will spawn, make sure the first location, in fact, let me just show you. So here there's always 6. You'll notice here the zone observation facility and the boundary, they always are the first 2. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Campfire is also in that spot. So if I were to reload things now, back to that screen, there you go. The caverns, the farm, and then the office. And then the other 2 are randomly picked. Now, my guess is that for something like this, interesting is making it so that the locations actually work. So I'll probably want to just remove all of the locations that are not workable in this setting. So yeah, there's probably a field hospital. Definitely no sewers in the Arctic. Cemetery would be kind of cool. Creepy. Arctic prison. Arctic prison. Yeah, why not? So here, get interesting, right? So like the mansion, um, the billionaire's lair, the theme park. Don't think it feels right to have a theme park over there. Swamp doesn't make sense, I think. Um, we can make this the greenhouses, the habitats. Maybe it's like a weird habitat somewhere in there. Shout out to Mouth Brood if you, by the way, if you want a weird habitat out in the wilderness, go play Mouth Brood. It's amazing. I got to play it the other day. Um, it is absolutely one. There you go. There's your weird habitat over there. Caverns, yeah, caverns make sense. Ice forest. Yeah, we'll change these later. You get the idea, though. I think the hydroponic, the micro farm. No, run bunkers. And so for each of the locations, you really put your own twists on them. So probably makes sense. For example, one of the variants here is like, the ice has reclaimed this old settlement. Eerie voices. Where they went. Single road. It's through it. Footsteps still visible. I would say one thing you can do is you absolutely don't need to make all of them. It is perfectly reasonable to not give variants. If you're just messing around trying to create a quick scenario and people are going to play it once, then you can absolutely just ignore or do a couple of passes. So you start with just um, locations you want, leave some gaps, and then I'll show you if I now reload this, quit out of it. See? Oh, good to see right here. So now we can see locations, only 13 of them. And the Arctic prison's right there, the village is right there. All our changes are there. Our extra not so easies are in there. Yeah. And we didn't really change scenes too much. And you can see how this would play out with the soldier be like literally, MacReady. There you go. So I hope that gives a taste of what you can do. You can do a lot. Um, I won't spend too much time messing around here, but you can see how we are courtesy of my the thing exploration with Nick Hunt. Just switching around the briefing, changing some of the locations. Right, center underneath the station. So name Macmurdo to legendary center of anomaly and Mac. And then, yeah, if I reload this, with all these changes, now have a totally different adventure. In fact, let's even change this. Gil's game is to tell a weird horror story, trust issues, obsessions, and Arctic isolation. Story 1. Yeah. Story of people who are forced to turn on each other. Or is it a thing turning on them? Reload it. Go. That's where it all happens. See this workflow, right? Like I'm making changes, quick reload, takes a couple seconds, and then goes back to the beginning. So now there you go. The goal of this game is to tell a weird horror story of trust issues, obsessions, and Arctic isolation. We've changed the particles and everything to create the sense of isolation. And you know, kind of fun just to put the two of these side by side and see just how much of a difference it makes compared to the game with modifications. So here we go, here's a little pre-made zone. Reset it, start back at the beginning. Yeah. So see the vibe is just very different, very different. Use the briefing to really inject your own vibe into it. Get started. This stuff is going to be the same. But there you go. With just very few changes, we've created a very different vibe. And yeah, you know, that is really the core of it. That is the core of zone modding. It's really all based on just a few little edits, or as many edits as you want. If you make a mod for the zone as the license says, like you completely own it, you can do whatever you want with it. You can charge people for it, you can release it for free, as long as you put it out, you know, in this format, so it can be played through the zone. And you know, stay tuned. I'm gonna be putting out a more comprehensive SRD for hacks of other kinds. Probably closer to when the physical edition comes out. And I hope that you'll have fun. I hope this is helpful. It was a lot of fun to build, and let me know what you make with it. Cool. And with that, signing off. Thanks, y'all.